Welcome to the Infernal Brotherhood of the Scruffy Looking Nerf Herders.
Yeah.
This is a live streaming Star Wars video podcast made by Star Wars fans for Star Wars fans. And today we're going to be reviewing the whole season, because that's a feat, I guess, of Star Wars Tales of the Jedi.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. Which, if you guys can't watch this in one go, like, they're like 14 minutes each. That's pretty quick.
They're very short.
Yeah. Yeah, holy shit, this was fun as hell.
Arguably too short, because you're right. It was a ton of fun. It was just going right back to the prequel era and filling in a ton of narrative gaps. Some of them, I don't necessarily think we needed to be filled in, but
no,
a lot of them, like that, specifically in my mind, two of them really shone through as being just genuinely amazing. And this is coming from a position of, as soon as I had heard that they were going to be doing a Tales of the Jedi series, and that it was not going to be the old EU Tales of the Jedi, I was like stomping my feet and holding my breath and,
yeah,
totally turning purple. But I was wrong, because it doesn't matter. Like, Tales of the Jedi is literally that. Tales of Jedi. Yeah. And that's all the old one was. And so they're just carrying it through in the same vein that the original was. And I really did enjoy this a lot.
Yeah, this shit was good. Like, I will end up rewatching all of these again, like multiple times. It's so good.
Yeah, there's a couple I'll watch again. But overall, again, we'll go into it as soon as we're sort of talking about each one of these. But this is an animated anthology created by Dave Filoni. It's part of the Star Wars franchise, whatever that means nowadays. It's just TV, because there is no movies anymore. Movies. They just gave up on that. They announce a movie, and then they abandon the movie, and then they announce a new movie, and they announce 3 movies, and then they abandon all of the movies. What are they doing? Are they genuinely this stupid and inept? They can only make short form content?
I believe so.
And even that's not even true, because like Andor is doing long form content in a very entertaining way. So I don't.
Yeah, but supposedly it's a fucking bomb, which I don't understand at all.
Who is saying that?
Like, I mean, it's all clickbait articles, but anytime I see anything about Andor, it's like, oh, Disney's biggest bomb. And I was like, well, let's step back a little bit from there. But like they've had bigger bombs. But yeah, it's like, it's so fucking good. It's just not.
That's crazy.
Laser swords and Jedi.
Yeah. So this entire series, this whole season 1, if there's going to be future seasons, sort of hands in the air, not sure, but this is 6 episodes, 3 of them centering around Count Dooku when he was still a Jedi, and 3 of them centering around Ahsoka Tano, sort of from birth to the end of the Clone Wars. Literally, like it goes through the entire scope for her. Yeah. And that's why I said I don't think all of these were really amazing, because the first one we got, the first episode, was Life and Death, and it literally dealt with the birth of Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah.
This is a story I don't think we needed. I don't think it gave us anything. It didn't inform us about Twi'lek culture, or not even.
Well, they're not Twi'leks, they're Togrutas.
Sorry. Togruta culture or anything? I mean,
it kind of did. It gave us like the idea that, oh, they're sort of like an old Nordic culture. Cool. And apparently, like, sorry, these are my notes. I probably should have actually wrote them down on something other than my my phone.
It's like a napkin or something.
Let's see. So 1, she should have already been in the temple by this adventure, so that's fucking stupid. 2, those puppies are cute, and I need 12. I was really drunk, so I'm gonna take that number down to about 6. I could probably handle 6. The only thing that I actually got from this was like, oh, the Togrutas, their facial markings aren't like that at birth. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's about what we got from this episode.
Yeah. I could live without it. I don't need it. I think if you're gonna go through the time of making an animated, like, just like 15-20 minute show, like, make it meaningful. Like, what did we get out of this? That she's special because she exhibited force ability? Like that?
Well, so that is a pretty... well, I mean, I don't know anymore, because I don't think anybody really fucking knows anything about anything anymore. But that used to be a very specific and special set of skills that not a lot of people had power over animals. And I mean, she's a year old and can control a giant fucking tiger thing. So it was kind of cool, but there's
Yeah.
also nothing stating anymore how cool and special that is.
Well, except for the fact that it shows like everyone has that. Like Rebels, they used it in Rebels.
That's true.
In Mandalorian, the child does it with the Rancor. In Book of Boba Fett.
True.
Now we know that Ahsoka can do it, though I don't ever recall seeing her do it before. So now it's just
Yeah.
sort of like, well, I guess that's just what everyone can do.
I guess.
I
Yeah.
don't know. So the whole thing, like the rarity of certain Force abilities, that's just been sort of taken away, in my opinion. Like that's never really a thing anymore. It's just whether or not you're Force sensitive is like the thing. And seemingly in the Disney era, everyone's Force sensitive. The Force is female, so all females have it.
Yeah, it's
so
fucking stupid.
I don't want to shit on this because I really did enjoy this series. But this first episode, I was just like, oh, if this is going to be the whole series, I don't know if I can sit through this. And I started like justifying my holding my breath and stomping on the floor. And then
I mean, that's fair.
Episode 2 came, and this is Justice, and it's the first one.
Fucking great.
Yeah.
And it was so funny too, because the whole time I'm just like, who the fuck is this kid? God, he looks stupid. I don't like him. And then it's like, oh, that's fucking Qui-Gon Jinn. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I will say, so again, referring to my notes about this episode, it very much reminds me of Christopher Lee's early work, like early 70s, early 80s. It's like puritanical cult shit. So I thought that was pretty dope. Oh God. I'm not going to read some of these. Man, I was really angry last night, apparently. So let's just go on with what you thought of the show. Basically, everybody was a cunt in this episode, apparently, except for Count Dooku, and he was not a villain, and everybody thinks he is wrong. Yeah, but it was a lot longer.
It's weird because it's meant to juxtapose the temperament of Dooku against Qui-Gon, and so that we can see, you know, that Dooku has always been this sort of headstrong, you know, the ends justify the means no matter what, in his opinion, as long as it's him doing it and not someone else doing it. And so I've always, like, I never needed that to hear about that in his backstory. I just always assumed he was like that, and we had that audiobook release, sort of radio drama that had already sort of paid off that idea. And so, you know, this was one of those where I thought it was much more important about the relationship between him and Qui-Gon, and getting to see a version of Qui-Gon still developing, still sort of trying to understand the greater galaxy at large, and really seeing the beginnings of how he ended up being the type of Jedi that we met in Episode 1.
Yeah.
And, you know, sort of those beginning steps of how Dooku fell out with the Jedi. And I was actually really surprised because I thought that Dooku would have been seduced much earlier on. I didn't think it would be like this slow evolving thing for him.
See, once we get on to like, you know, further episodes like that, totally made sense to me that it would be that fast, because honestly, even in like Legends, it kind of was that way to begin with. Like it was during the Clone Wars when he was seduced and when he left. And I mean, I don't know, do we want to keep going with this episode?
He was running the Separatist movement, so it had to be before that.
That's true.
So it's just like it was at the point where, you know, we're introduced in this next episode, Choices, where we see that it was Dooku that removed the planet from the Jedi archives, and, you know, we get to see his sort of unraveling into the full Sith side of, you know, the dark side of the Force, and working for the Senator Palpatine, Darth Sidious.
Oh, okay, I'm mixing the two up. I was thinking it was. Yeah, okay, never mind. We're on the same page now. Because I was thinking, like, he turned so heavily once Qui-Gon died, but I apparently got the episodes mixed up.
And the thing is, like, that was the turning point for him of just finally switching off and saying, I can't even pretend to be a Jedi anymore. This is bullshit. And I thought that was great. Let's
Yeah.
get to that in just a second. So Choices is where he and Mace Windu are going to investigate death of one of the other Jedi Masters, and they learn that it was actually this senator who was, and this is a common theme for the previous episode as well, where the senator representing the people is being unjust to their people just for the sake of power. And it resonates true, at least to me, because that's what our senators do.
Yeah, I mean, that's just real world shit.
Yeah. And so I just thought it was like, yeah, of course, it makes sense. And so they just sort of amp it up a little bit more by having the people trying to stop and control their senator, and they ended up having to kill a Jedi in order to do that. But then seeing Mace Windu and that jealousy streak between Dooku and him when Mace is elevated to the council chair, I thought that was a beautiful moment to just watch this guy who, you know, on one hand, Dooku doesn't seem like he should care because he's kind of on the outs already. You know, emotionally, he's already kind of on the fringes. Why would the Jedi Council want him on the board, you know, on the master seat? It doesn't make sense why he would even expect it to go to him. But when he sees that it doesn't, that's just sort of that Anakin moment of, they don't think I'm, you know, don't trust me.
Well, and especially because it was like the actions of that investigation, that's what was the final, you know, nail in the coffin to get Windu his seat at the council.
Yeah.
And then, of course, him being slighted like, oh, well, I did the same fucking thing. Why am I not a master? Meh.
Yeah, I don't know. I've always liked Dooku's character from a distance, and the more I actually saw of him in these shorts, the less I actually liked him as a character. I felt that, you know, we were always sort of set up with this idea that, no, he left the Jedi Order to go be a Duke for his own planet. And that was a huge problem. And that was from the novel that was released, or the radio drama that was released. And so I didn't think that all of these other little things were happening. I always thought it was, I can't remember his name now. It was his Jedi friend that supposedly ordered the clones to be, you know, constructed and stuff. I thought he was the one really doing all of this. And
well, yeah, because I mean that's how they set it up.
Yeah, and so to see it actually Dooku, I was like, wait, what? Yeah, I don't need it. I didn't even think he was there at that point.
It's funny because I had like the exact opposite reaction. Like I mean, of course, I have to get over the whole legends being legends now. But I felt like with these episodes, because I've always appreciated him, but like this made him more real to me, I guess. Whereas, you know, he always had that air of, you know, aristocracy. Like he was above everybody else because, again, Count Dooku.
Yeah.
But with this, it kind of just brought everything down and made him real.
Interesting. Well, I think those episode 2 and 3 were great setup character development episodes for episode 4.
Episode 4 was just
fire.
Okay, so I am going to read off my notes for that one because that's real fucking easy. Fuck, that was good. and mind you, I'm like taking notes every couple of minutes. So it's fuck, that was good. Is this the first time Yaddle has been canon in the Mickeyverse? Because I don't remember. And then it's fuck, and then fuck with a few extra U's. Because it's just that good. Like getting to see Darth Sidious before everything, like before the attack and all that stuff, it's always just so mind blowing to me. And I don't know why, but I just loved seeing it.
I hope they do the Plagueis book as like a movie or something.
I don't.
Oh, really?
They've already changed shit that was canonical in Plagueis.
Yeah, I feel like they could, because they're supposedly bringing Plagueis in the Dark Acolyte series. So to just give us that connection of him sort of meeting and supposedly turning Palpatine, but realizing Palpatine's actually, you know, had already had a foot in the door and he turns on his own master and stuff. I think that would be a great drama moment.
I mean, it could be if it was done right. I don't know how much faith I have that they won't fucking shit the bed on that, though.
Wow, okay.
Depending on who does it.
Yeah.
Now, if it's Filoni and Favreau, I'll just eat up anything those two do. I don't give a fuck. But if it's anybody else, I'm going to be very apprehensive.
Yeah, that's fair. So the Sith Lord I thought was great because I didn't know shit about Yaddle. You know, we saw her in one chair moment.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like the entirety of her cameo in Star Wars.
Yeah.
We're like, well, she's a master. And then we get to know her just a little bit more. I did not think they were going to knock her out, you know, like kill her off.
Fucking beautiful. That was the fuck with 3 use.
It was just hardcore.
God, that was just so good. Especially because you think, oh shit, she might make it. And of course, you know she's not going to. Like, we've all seen the movies. Nobody makes it really. Except for all the dog shit Jedi, apparently. But man, seeing her come up and then Dooku be like, meh, bop. Oh my God, that was so good.
It was great because it gave us the full turn of Dooku, which was, in my opinion, the best part of this entire series for his character.
Absolutely.
And then we got to see that all of the Jedi were not lockstep with the council, and that the galaxy did see them as yes men for the Senate, and you know, sort of the militant arm of the Senate, which they're not supposed to be. Yeah. And so it's so great to sort of reflect later on after episode 3, where, you know, Yoda is straight up saying, we were completely mystified. We didn't see what we were doing. We were wrong the whole time.
Yeah.
And Yaddle sees that, and she doesn't even want to go along with it anymore, but she's just trying to help an old friend, you know, another Jedi who is also falling down a wrong path. It just happens to be the opposite end. And I thought in a universe, in a galaxy where there is no right and wrong, it's all perspective. You know, it all just happens to be a certain point of view. In that world, there are still some absolutes, and that is the connection with each other and what you need to be as an individual in order to preserve those connections. And in this moment, Yaddle is trying to maintain some semblance of I'm going to say humanity for the greater meaning of it, a semblance of humanity, a human connection with Dooku, because she sees that this man who maybe they weren't great friends, but they were peers, and she wants to help him, and she doesn't realize how far he's gone and what really has its claws in him. And as soon as she realizes it, she's like, I can't do it's over. I can't even get to my ship at this point. Like, I just have to fight for survival and hope I can convince him not to kill me. Like, hopeless.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's so goddamn good.
It was just a beautiful, beautiful moment. And yeah, I love seeing Josh Sidious. Didn't do shit. Didn't have to do shit.
Yeah.
His mere presence is enough. Ugh, so badass.
Yeah, and that was like the proper way to close out that episode too, was just panning into his face and just his eyes glowing like that. Fucking, oh my God, just like give me an hour of that, and I'll appreciate that more than the entire sequel trilogy.
100%. I thought the next next show and episode, Practice Makes Perfect, was it wasn't necessary, but it was so beautiful, and it gave us exactly what people complain about not getting from the sequel trilogy with Rey. And that's Ahsoka Tano is a badass. Like, by every count. Like, she is amazing. And we saw her grow up, and we saw her train with Anakin, but we never saw this. We never saw the hell that Anakin put her through.
Heavy.
And I just loved it, because now it's justified in everyone's eyes. Yeah, she's a badass, but she fucking earned it. She wasn't given it. She wasn't born with it. You know, maybe it's Maybelline. No, she actually fucking like was knocked out over and over and over, you know, painfully, until she finally was able to overcome and see, you know, her full, potential, I suppose. And then seeing it close out with the end of the Clone Wars, of her walking in and how she survived against that fleet of clone troopers.
Damn it. Yeah. Yeah, that was a 5U fuck from that note. It just, you're right. It was unnecessary, but beautiful. Fucking just, I can't get over how awesome that shit was. And it's nice too to see that even people like at the temple were like, man, this training is bullshit. Let's do some real shit. I mean, of course it was Anakin that said that, but of course he's gonna know it's bullshit. Like, it's fucking stupid. Oh, you're gonna get in a closing ring with some droids that aren't gonna do shit to you. No, let's get some live bodies to fuck you up and see how long you last. Just, God, it's so good.
I mean, I think, because arguably, we just have to assume Anakin went through that same type of training of that, the stupid bot droids and stuff. Mm-hmm. But he has the foresight to realize that we are in war. Mm-hmm. And we're not fighting stupid training droids. We are fighting thinking, conniving, manipulative, like other humanity. Other beings of intelligence. So we can't use these stagnant, stale methods in order to ensure survivability. And ultimately, the only Jedi that survive are able to do what she did, sort of push themselves to the extreme limits or just be incredibly lucky, because just from happenstance. Because Jedi Masters were taken out by these clone troopers. And why did none of the other Jedi Masters see what Anakin did with Ahsoka and say, he might have something here?
Yeah, it's just, again, it's the naivety of the Jedi Council. They were untouchable. It's the same issue that the Empire had. Like, nobody can fucking touch them, and that's why they fell, because somebody could.
Yeah, it's so... The comparison should be shocking because we're seeing it in Andor right now. The Empire doesn't give a fuck. They don't care. They just assume everyone's going to fall in line or they're going to crush them if they don't. And so to have people like actually working against them, it's a shock to them. And the Jedi Temple was the exact same way. This is how it's been done for thousands of years. We will never change our methods because there's no reason to change. We are perfect and protectors. And really, they're just being duped by the dark side the whole time. Oh, God. It was just so great to see that juxtaposition of organizations with the exact same mentality.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
It really is.
Yeah, but seeing I think it was Rex, right? Captain Rex walking Ahsoka out and the doors open at the very end. I was just like, oh, I know that moment.
Yeah, that's the thing too, because it's like we saw what happened, but it was like a different angle, so it almost affects you differently. And obviously like the lead up to it. But God, yeah, that episode was perfection. Just amazing.
And then we close out with a real home run.
Yeah.
Fucking resolve. At the funeral of Padme, and she shows up. Ahsoka shows up because, of course, they had tons of adventures together. They were close friends, let alone the fact that she was one of the few Jedi who actually knew the truth about her and Anakin. And there has to be this heavier subtext that wasn't ever really even touched on, because Obi-Wan was there. We didn't see any interaction between Ahsoka and Obi-Wan, but Obi-Wan knew that Anakin turned to the dark side and became Darth Vader, like at that point, right? So if they would have saw each other, it would have like resolved a lot of problems that Ahsoka went through later in life.
Yeah.
Because, her not knowing who Darth Vader was until she goes to, I think it was Moraban, and then she faces off against him, and then she's pulled into the world over between worlds or whatever. Like, that was a heavy-ass scene strictly because she didn't know.
Yeah, that realization after she cracked his helmet. God, yeah, so good.
I don't know. I thought that was so great. And then to see her getting this connection with, why can't I never remember his name?
Bail Organa.
Thank you. Bail Organa. I thought that was a great little connection. And then it kicks over to the Ahsoka novel, sort of a remix of the Ahsoka novel, where she's, sort of living in anonymity, and we get to see this fucking sixth brother come out. And he looked badass.
That was fucking beautiful. Like, why couldn't we get that in Obi-Wan? Like, that is cool as shit.
Yeah, it was just, I don't know. I think ultimately, we got Obi-Wan the way we got it because Ewan McGregor that was his passion project and he wanted to tell it in his own way. And there's some beautiful moments in it.
There really are.
But ultimately, I think it could have been better if they would have given it over to someone with more connection to like the legacy of Star Wars rather than just Obi-Wan's connection to it. But anyway, it doesn't matter. This was a really beautiful episode, and it closed out in such a wonderful way of how Ahsoka joins the rebellion, ostensibly, becomes part of it. And then we see her journey, of course, develop further in Rebels. And then, of course, in The Mandalorian, we see it go even further. And so, I mean, for you, what do you feel like there were different moments that they could have capitalized on with Dooku and Ahsoka? Or do you think they hit all the right little filler places?
I don't really think there's anything else that they could. I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch of other things they could have done. I don't feel like any of it was wasted. I mean, aside from the first episode, I don't think that was necessary. Like any of it really. But no, everything that we saw, especially with Dooku, because we got early Dooku that we haven't really explored. Outside of that, what was it, Dooku Fallen Jedi or something like that. And even then, it was not really an era of Dooku that we got even with the novel. So yeah, I was really happy with everything that we got.
Yeah, I have to agree. Did you have a favorite moment in all this season?
Yeah. Episode 5 and episode 4 were just phenomenal. Again, like the very end of episode 4, like just fucking perfection. And then of course practice makes perfect. I love it because, and it's ironic because originally when we first started talking Ahsoka, like I'm like, oh fuck Ahsoka, she's stupid, I hate her. And I just cannot get enough Ahsoka now at this point because she is such a badass. And every time we get more of her, they're just showing how much more of a badass than we already thought she was. So I loved it.
Do you think there's ever a moment where she sort of oversteps? Like if she's such a badass and she has lived through all this time, why would they not have her connect with Luke and help Luke, right the wrongs of the Empire after, I mean, if she was so powerful, why did she just abandon Luke after Grogu's experience with him?
I don't know. I think they're going to explore that at some point, especially like with the series. I think we might get a little bit of that. But I really don't know.
I hope so. I guess my ultimate fear is, in George Lucas's Star Wars, there was literally no one more powerful than Luke Skywalker. He was the beginning and end. Once he got to the level of master, he was the most powerful. And growing up with that for 40 years, in my head canon was always just like, yeah, that is the most badass guy. Yeah. And then when Disney takes over, he becomes a punk ass bitch, and then suddenly we get another character called Ahsoka, who is the most powerful seemingly, and can do like anything. And so there's a little bit of like little green-eyed hamster, I'm a little jealous and kind of pissed that she's getting all the attention and not our old school hero, Luke. But ultimately, I'm enjoying this story, and so I can't really complain. I just don't want her to overshadow Luke is all.
Unfortunately, I think that's just going to happen anyways because, Disney shit the bed.
Yeah.
Like, just period. They took the most powerful being that's ever existed, arguably, and made him die because he was sad. Like, he went the way of his fucking mom.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. That just kind of brings me down a little bit. Yeah. All right.
But everything else in this episode was great.
My favorite moment of this was definitely Dooku's fighting Yaddle. Like, I have no conception of how powerful or, comparison of power levels that she was to Dooku. But it doesn't really matter because Sidious was right there. So just seeing them literally to the death. And then, once we think that she's crushed by that door slamming shut and then she pushes it up, I was like, oh, she's back. She's going to fuck him up and get away. And then,
nope.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And just the bleakness on her face when she jumps out of there. It's like she knows, oh, I saved myself from getting crushed to get my head cut off.
Yep.
And that's what happens.
Out of the den into the lion's mouth, man. Oh gosh, it was so good. Yeah. So ultimately, do you want another series of this?
Yeah, absolutely. And the nice thing is with this, they could explore anybody, and that would be great. Like especially, I would love to see more Mace Windu. I would love to see more Qui-Gon Jinn. I mean, really, just anybody. Like it could be fantastic. So I really do hope they continue with this, especially because it's nice having short form content. You know, sometimes you don't want to sit for 40 minutes to an hour to watch something.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got 15 minutes in between school and work or some shit, and you know, you want to do something other than stare at your phone. So I really appreciate this.
It was really special because it not only brought us back to that prequel era, but it felt like the prequel era. And that's what I really love so much, is that, you know, it got so much shit when it first came out. I was unaware of all of it because I wasn't really in the internet at that time, and the internet wasn't pervasive enough for every fan to connect with each other. So it was really regionally that you got all this sort of you know, fist shaking in the air against it. But I was like 100% sold into the prequels. I loved them. I enjoyed the whole thing. They have their flaws, but so does everything in the world. So, you know, I sort of overlooked it. Seeing this go back and sort of recontextualizing like the Clone Wars did, but in this way, just hyper focusing on specific characters, I thought was a brilliant way of showcasing that, you know, George Lucas may have been a little bit too ambitious and, you know, sort of narrow scoped with his approach with the prequels, but the stories are there. It's like
definitely.
the events still prove out to be brilliant storytelling. So, you know, you may complain about the package, but the message is always going to be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure who I would want it to focus on next. I mean, I'd have no idea. I don't know. I think it would. As much as I don't like Rey as a character, I think she could really be helped with some sort of further development.
But the Jedi are no more.
Yeah, fucking. Fuck.
I don't know how I'd feel about that. I mean, it's fucking Star Wars, so I'm gonna watch it and I'll probably enjoy it at least a little bit, but I don't know.
The strength of it is it has to be known characters, you know what I mean? Known Jedi. So
yeah. Well, and I mean, there's so many we can pull from. I mean, just look at the Clone Wars era, you know, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, all that shit. Like, there's plenty of Jedi they could pull from that, you know, we used to know a lot about, but now we don't. So.
I'm looking up Dark Disciple, I think is the name of the novel. Yeah, it is. Okay, so I think this would be a great one. It would be Asajj Ventress, 3 episodes to explore her more, because I always thought she's a badass character. She just looks great. And then her like little love affair with Quinlan Vos. So getting to know Quinlan Vos a little bit more, I think, would be really great as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be
they
dope.
already have the contextual story, you know, to sort of close with, you know, sort of a wrapper like they did with Ahsoka and they did with the Dooku Jedi Lost. I mean, I think that would be a great season 2.
Yeah,
and it would bring us right back to the Clone War era. So give me more.
Right.
It's not Bad Batch.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's coming out soon.
Oh God, I'm not looking forward to that. I just have to keep reminding myself we made it through 2 seasons of Resistance.
It's true, we did.
Yeah,
that's something. that's
can't
something.
get worse. Can't get worse. Hopefully,
I hope. Fingers crossed, it can't get worse.
Yeah.
They can always surprise us. All right. Is there anything else you wanted to cover with this?
No, I think we definitely got everything.
Yeah. Well, let us know what you guys thought. Did you enjoy Tales of the Jedi, or were you just one of those holding your breath, stomping your feet people like I was at the beginning and just don't even want to try? You feel like you've been spurned as a fan too much and you just don't want to know. Let me know in the comments below. And then if you did give it a chance, how did you feel about it? Do you agree with us? Do you disagree? Let us know. I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you always want to, support this channel, which I hope you do if you're watching, at some point, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Click that stupid bell to get notified about upcoming videos, and click the like button out of spite if you have to. It's something. Until next time.
I mean, we'll take whatever.
Yeah. May the force be with you.
Deuces.